Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my experience with sleep training. I feel like I need to put this out there because I am having kind of a hard time, but I thought I'd share my thoughts, my processes, things I've researched, and how my first day of full sleep training has been going. I hope this could give you some information, some support, or anything like that. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. Click that button below and let's get right into the video. So, one of the reasons why I really wanted to start sleep training was because I don't get any sleep. Jackson goes to bed really well. I usually nurse him to sleep and then pop him in his crib. But during like the night after midnight till like 5 a.m., I'm pretty much getting up almost every hour or every hour and a half. Whether that's just like soothing him, picking him up, nursing, and then I would find myself either falling asleep on the chair with him, or he has a bed in his room and I'll fall asleep there with him, and I'm just creating like really bad habits that I don't want to have. I want to be able to sleep in my own bed and have some good solid hours. Now yes, he is a baby, he needs mama, and that's fine, but we need to find a bit of a balance. The biggest thing with sleep training is you need to teach a baby or a human how to go to sleep. So they're saying that we naturally don't know how to fall asleep as a baby, whereas now, like, I'm sure all of us could sleep anywhere. The sleep training program just teaches the child how to fall asleep, teach them self-soothing techniques, and that way they can either go to sleep on their own, stay asleep, or put themselves asleep when they wake up in the middle of the night or anything like that. I've done so much research. I've read so many blogs, so many Pinterest hacks, different opinions of different people, and I've honestly gained so much information it might be just too much. So I'll try to link below a couple of my favorite blog posts about sleep training, and it's pretty much based on that mom's experience that I really felt helped me in terms of how to react to certain things. So I'll add those there. And another resource that I had, this was recommended to me, was the Happy Sleeper book by Heather. I'm not even gonna try the last name, but this was really, really useful. I even added a couple sticky notes so I can quick reference a couple things. But this I really felt helped me understand babies' thinking, or the baby's understanding of sleeping and all these things. It teaches you a certain type of sleep training, which is called the sleep wave, and how it has multiple steps that you need to follow. And it even gives you a guide for older babies 18 to 2 years old. So I didn't bother to read that part because I'm more focused on Jackson's age. So right now Jackson is 8 months on Monday, and I've honestly been going back and forth with sleep training ever since he was 5 months old. Why have I been waiting and waiting and waiting? I feel like I just kept telling myself to suck it up, like, okay, he's still a little baby, he's only 5 months, he's only 6 months, we can do it. Now he's 8 months old and he's not doing it. I'm gonna share with you kind of what I did to prepare myself, and I even made a bunch of notes on my first day of sleep training. So here we go. First thing, I needed to make sure I had my sound machine on before I put him into the room. He would go into his sleep sack instead of using a blanket, which is what I was doing before during naps. So I would put him in the sleep sack so he knows he can associate that with bedtime. And I try to make the room as dark as possible. I don't have any blackout shades or curtains, but maybe I should invest in those. So those are the things I do before I'm starting to get him to bed, whether that's nap time or bedtime. Then I look for the signs of sleepiness. So for Jackson right now, he tends to rub his eyes quite a bit, pull on his ear. He'll yawn, but not like, he won't yawn right away. Like, I barely see any yawns, but it's really the rubbing of the eyes that tell me like, time to put me to bed. And of course, crankiness, irritableness, doesn't really want to play or anything like that. So I do make sure that once that happens, we're in our proper setting. So we put him in a sleep sack. I nurse him just to make sure he's full, but I don't let him fall asleep on me. He could be batting his eyes, but never falling asleep. And then I will quickly put him on my shoulder and kind of rock him a little bit, again, making sure he doesn't fall asleep. So that is kind of my routine before getting into bed. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I made some notes as of yesterday. So these are my notes. It looks like a study sheet. So yesterday we woke up at 6:15 a.m., which is ridiculous. We've never waken up that early. Another tip, wake up early. I'm trying to get Jackson into an earlier wake up time, and also for me it's probably really good for me to wake up early. 6:15 may be a bit too early, but ideally between 7 and 7:30 is where I want us to wake up so we can really maximize our day. So yesterday we did wake up quite early at 6:15. We had breakfast at 7:30 and we kind of played around up until around 8:11. At 8:11, or right before that, he was showing signs of tiredness, rubbing his eyes, yawning, etc. So again, I put him in his sleep sack. I get his room ready with the sound machine, make sure the blinds are closed. Any clutter or toys in his room or around his crib, I try to remove that. Then I nurse him, rock him, and I put him in the crib. So as you can see here, clears up. So what I did, I wrote down pretty much everything that we did. So we wake up, we have breakfast, we put him in the crib at 8:11, and then I wrote all the different times. In this book, it pretty much tells you, it's not a cry it out method, but it's like a controlled method where you're going in and out to show them reassurance or telling the baby that you're there. So what I did, I went in every 5 minutes for the first 2 to 3 times. And then I did 8 minutes for the next couple times, and then 10 minutes and 12 minutes. I honestly made that up. I think in the book it says 3, 5, and 10, but I just made it up because I felt 5 was like 3 minutes is nothing. It's like a blink. So usually when he goes in the crib, he's not really crying for like 30 seconds and then he starts bawling. So he cries and cries and cries for 5 minutes. I go in, I try not to carry him. I pat him on the back, rub his head. I'll even try to lay him down because he does get up, and then leave the room. I did that, how many times did I do that? I did that 2 times for 5 minutes, then 2 more times in 8-minute intervals, and then 1 more time at a 10-minute interval. So after that 10 minutes, which was 8:57, I skipped the next time interval, which was 12, because he ended up slowing down his cry. So instead of full on like rah, rah, it was like rah, rah, rah. So from there, that's my sign of don't disturb him, don't bother him, don't distract him. He is now like either really tired or just telling himself or showing himself how to calm down and slow down. So I wrote here that his crying slowed down, but he's still standing. So I thought maybe he was sleep standing because he was still holding on to the rails. Then eventually by 9:15, he was sitting and kind of like fell asleep like this, and would kind of like rock himself. So at 9:15, I went inside and I just kind of pushed him over and pat his bum. A lot of blogs say not to go in and bother them. They should just sleep sitting up and then eventually they learn. But I just kind of felt bad. So he was just kind of like, but the good thing is that he fell asleep. So that entire moment took an hour and 4 minutes, and then he only slept for like 30 minutes. But it was progress. He actually fell asleep on his own. No rocking, no nursing, no nothing. I didn't do anything. He just plopped down and went to bed. Then we had gone out and he had fallen asleep in the car. So he slept in the car for about a half an hour, which is fine. And we did our thing, and then we came back and he went down at 2:46. So again, prior to that, I watched for his cues. I put him in his sleep sack, turned on the sound machine, closed the blinds, put him in his crib. Once I put him in his crib, I skipped the first I already like kind of wrote down intervals. So my first 5 minutes would have been at whatever time. I actually skipped that because he wasn't crying. He was just kind of sitting there. So I wrote here, not crying. He's just kind of looking around. Then at the next 5-minute interval, he was crying a lot. So technically I had left him alone for 10 minutes. Crying a lot. I picked him up, which I should not. So do not pick up baby. Just stand there, because he just got way more frustrated and angry at me. Then I skipped the next 5-minute interval because again he was kind of slowly crying and like I could see him just kind of like falling asleep. Then by 3:09 he fell asleep laying down, so he was able to go from a sitting position and somehow plop over and fall asleep. So that entire section took about 23 minutes. So he went from an hour and 4 minutes of fussing and crying to then taking only 23 minutes to go from crying to sleeping. I was mind blown. So then he actually slept for 2 hours and we had to wake him up. So he must have been so tired from the crying before that he just was knocked out. So another thing there, now that he's a little bit older, they always say don't wake up a baby, but at this time you really want to teach routine and schedule, so I wanted to make sure he woke up. 2 hours I kind of felt was a bit long, but I gave it to him and then we went in and woke him up. So we woke him up at 5 o'clock, we had dinner, we played, blah 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 blah. Then by around 7:30, oh no, actually I think around 7, he was already showing early signs of tiredness, so a little bit of yawning, just kind of like sitting and chilling. So we went to our bedtime routine. So my bedtime routine is we go into the bath, we play a little bit, I wash him down, I have lavender baby soap, do that, lotion, diaper, in pajamas, we kind of chill for a little bit, then we go into the sleep sack, we nurse because I want to make sure he's full before bedtime, and then again he's batting his eyes, he kind of puts his arm around his head when he's tired, and then I sit him up, pat pat pat. I put him in the crib at 7:35 and he went down in 5 minutes. What? He went down in 5 minutes. I didn't even have to go in and do a check, because by the time I hit my 5-minute mark he was down. He was asleep. He laid down on his tummy and he was out till 8:25. So 8:25 I kind of made that really exciting. So by 8:25 he cried a bit and I think he stood up. I didn't write that down, so I think he stood up. So then I thought, okay, maybe this is a nap. So I kind of picked him up and I wasn't sure if I had fed him enough, because usually after a nap I will feed him. So I nursed him and he went back to sleep. Like, what? He went back to sleep? I ended up just putting him back into his crib and he had slept all the way till 11:45. 4 hours of sleep with that little wake up in the middle, but that was pretty good. Now, after that, things kind of got screwed up because I do live in an apartment, so I'm sure his room is beside another person's room, so I did feel bad of crying, so I ended up sleeping with Jackson, which really destroyed everything. So that was a bad note on me. I ended up sleeping with him on the bed and he doesn't just sleep in one position. I had woke up at like 5 or 4 in the morning and my head was up here and his head was down there. I realized that I have to just stick with it in order for him to continue learning how to self-soothe. The daytime is a lot easier because I can occupy myself with things to do, I can film this video, and I'm pretty sure their neighbors are not there, and even if they are, it's the middle of the day, so they can't get mad at me. In the night, that is the scary part. Sleep training gods, give me some love. I hope this video was really informative for you. Please let me know if you're having similar issues or trying to do sleep training or anything like that. If you have any tips for me, please comment down below and let me know. I will take in all the information. And yeah, for more videos like this, please subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.